What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome to an episode of Opinionated. I am your host, Wrestler, and I did a recording of the video on a live stream, but I want to go back and tailor up on a few things I actually saw in it and just make it nice and clean for this particular video for you guys. And the episode of which I was talking about, or rather the subject of things I was talking about, was something I started writing ahead of time. The title of this is The Echoes Within. You ever wonder, or rather, you ever notice those quiet whispers that they just seem to sneak up on us when we're least thinking about things? They always happen when you least expect it, and they're in your head, and they tend to do the most egregious of things. Like they cast doubt in our mind. They pretty much tell us that we don't have the ability to try to do the thing that we wish to do, or that we're just not a worthy individual. I think we all get those things. And I'm classifying those little voices in your head as basically echoes that are within your own mind. This is why it's titled The Echoes Within. It's those voices of doubt that shape our thoughts and our actions more than we realize. But here's the thing. What if we could change the way that we listen to those very voices? What if instead of seeing it as a voice of doubt, as a roadblock, we see it pretty much as a sign pointing us toward the areas of growth and self-discovery that we really should be looking at? Because sometimes, let's just be honest, the most profound insight that we can get are in the quieted places of our mind. So let's get started with that. I pretty much was breaking it down into three segments that I wanted to kind of touch on, but I kind of just speed through them. I was just kind of going quickly in my head as they were formulating. And the first thing I wanted to cover was the voice of doubt. And it's pretty much that nagging little whisper that tells us that we're not good enough, right? That we're not smart enough, that we're not worthy enough, that we're not good enough, that we're not fast enough, strong enough, whatever it is. What if we flip the script and we just listen to that doubt as a guide rather than one of our detractors? Doubt isn't always the villain that we make it out to be. I mean, really, think about it. Doubt is like a compass, and it's pointing us towards the areas of the growth and our opportunities that we need to seek out. When we lean towards discomfort, we open up new avenues for ourselves and new possibilities for personal development. Instead of turning away, rather shying away from doubt, why don't you just see it as a teacher? See it as a teacher that's guiding you towards fulfilling your potential. Because it's not about banishing doubt altogether, but rather learning to deal with doubt. Thinking of it as a particular rhythm in a song that you already know the steps to. When people are experiencing doubt, instead of learning to try to get over it, they kind of just wait for the moment to pass rather than seeing doubt as an opportunity to overcome something that will always be in their way, regardless of where you are in your life. Doubt will come. It's been there before and it will come again. But learning to deal with doubt, learning to accept doubt, and being able to overcome it in the moment, I think is pretty profound. I want to talk about the other thing that we need to talk about when it comes to the echoes that's going on in our minds, and that's the echo chamber. Now, when I talk about the echo chamber, I think about those places or those beliefs that we have that are bouncing back and forth within our mind. And what we tend to do is we tend to put them out into the world pretty much to reaffirm what we feel that we already know. But here's what happens. What would happen basically if we have those voices, when we have those ideals challenged? What happens to those echoes? When we invite new perspectives basically in our spaces. And I think that's something that we should really break down when it comes to echo chambers. When I think about echo chambers, right, I think about it as a cozy space where our beliefs pretty much are bouncing back and forth. And what we tend to do is that we tend to get those same thoughts reinforced. And we're always just reinforcing the thing that we feel that we already know to be true. But I want you to picture this. You're, say, scrolling through your social media feed, right? You're looking at all the options of all your postings and everything. You're surrounded by opinions that pretty much serve your own thought process, which are echo chambers. It feels comfortable. safe even. But here's one of those things that we have to talk about. Comfort can sometimes leave you in a place of complacency. It does. When we're surrounded by the voices that we already know, the echoes that are of our own, we miss out on that richness of diversity, and most of all, a new perspective, a chance at a new perspective. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you really had a good, honest to God conversation, debate even, with someone who totally see the world different than you? We gotta admit, it may not be a comfortable conversation. It's not always an easy conversation to have. But we have to get into a zone where we need to break down those echo chambers because it's essential for growth and understanding. It's not about getting into a place of discomfort or uncertainty just for the heck of feeling so. It's for an opportunity to open ourselves up to new ideas. So what do we do about that? How do we break free from echo chambers? And how do we go about inviting new voices or new opinions into our spaces? Well, I think it starts with curiosity for one. Instead of dismissing opinions that challenge our own ideas, lean into them. Now, I'm not saying that you should just totally accept them. Give it a little bit of scrutiny. Talk back with the person. Get a little bit more insight. Ask questions. Get a level of understanding and approach the conversation with an open mind. And I get it. I totally understand. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. The world rarely is. Growth happens outside of our comfort zone, not within it. So why don't you just step out of your comfort zone, step out of your echo chamber, and face those many voices. And I don't mean just the voices in your head, but face the many voices of people who have their own opinions, and you never know. You just might learn something along the way. So that was my second segment. On my third segment, I was pretty much talking about facing our own self-reflection. When I'm mentioning self-reflection, I'm thinking about the person in the mirror. When I think about this particular segment that I was trying to put together in real time, I was thinking about when we are in a place where we're trying to confront those feelings, those voices, those echoes within us, trying to understand the things that are very important when it comes to understanding our true selves. When we have to accept our flaws and we have to really look at that reflection in the mirror and take that person head on. I mean, we've all had those moments when we look in the mirror and we don't really recognize that same person who's staring back at us. It could be after a long day, you could have been working, you could just be strictly exhausted, but you tend to notice a couple of things when you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You might be thinking that your eyes just look like it's aged. You may be looking at the edges and the wrinkles that are going to be on your face because you're noticing how much you're stressing. Or it could just be that you had a really tough conversation with a friend and now you're just going through this transition where they might have asked you a very difficult question and you're thinking to yourself, I don't really have the answers to that. Facing our reflection isn't about seeing what's on the surface level. It's actually about a deeper conversation that we need to have about the multiple layers that we have for ourselves, that we can then turn around and try to take a little bit of self-acknowledgement. It's about understanding our vulnerabilities, our insecurities, and our imperfections. We need to expect them, knowing that they're part of the very thing that makes us who we are. And that's pretty much what I'm just thinking about in terms of this episode. Well, everybody, as we wrap up this episode for today on Opinionated with yours truly, I want to thank you all for joining me on this little bit of a thought exercise, a little bit of introspection, and of course, some exploration. Oh, guys, remember, if you haven't done so already, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I know these sound like crazy things that people say all the time, but if I don't say it, I'm gonna forget to do so. So you have that. Oh, hit the notification bell, of course, so that you can be apprised as to when I'm dropping content or even when I go live. So just something to think about. Since you already watched to the end of this video, do me a favor and write in the comment section. Tell me, what did you think of the video? Was there anything you pretty much learned from that? Were there things that you were already thinking about? Or do you have your own take on things that can help in this self-development of actually becoming more open-minded? My way is not the only way, so I want to know what's your own thoughts of things. keep listening to those voices, keep building on yourself, and I will see you in the next one. This is Wrestler signing off. Stay opinionated.